Yes, I'm recording. Good, beautiful Lughnasadh Eve to everyone. Here we are again at Bealtaine Cottage. A most not contrived video. The usual no edit, continuous shoot. I say that because I'm looking at other channels on YouTube and everyone's getting so professional about things. And I made the decision when I began that I was going to keep I was going to try to keep the authenticity of Bealtaine Cottage and just let you see what I see. And I don't know why Jack drinks that very old water in there. It must have goodness in it for him because he is the healthiest of dogs. I took him to the vet's for his final injections, his final vax, yesterday, and she put him on the scales. And she said very surprisedly and very delightedly, "Oh, he's lost a kilo, that's very good." Well, I did a little live stream this morning on Facebook. I was just taking him out for a little walk, and I explained, of course, that Jack now goes for a walk at the very least twice a day, and each walk is a mile. And we've been doing that for the past months since he went to the vet for his initial examination and initial vaccinations and stuff like that, and microchip, which I hadn't had done. And so I think both myself and Jack are rather pleased about that, because of course he loves getting out for a walk. I've been working hard on training him to behave in a particularly safe way when he hears or sees a vehicle. So he now lies down flat on the verge. So he goes onto the verge, he lies down completely flat and stays completely immobile during that time. So, Lughnasadh Eve. It's the very first of the harvest festivals in the Celtic calendar. So here in the west of Ireland, there are very distinct signs of Lughnasadh. And on my previous video I showed you some of the mushrooms, some of the fungi. Of course the fungi are everywhere, although they come and go pretty quickly. And over the past week, when this energy has been very much at play in the universe all around me, in the multiverse all around me, I've been working with that energy on a very personal journey, and I've been talking a little bit about it, explaining it from how I see it. And so many of you have commented on how the energy is working for you as well. For me, this is another opportunity at renewal. Each Celtic festival, and there are 4 major ones during the year, each one is an opportunity to renew the body, renew the spirit, renew the environment around you, to renew the environment for others. I'm thinking now of the natural world. It's just a wonderful chance to open one's mind and rethink things, to feed in everything that we've learned and we've experienced over that time since the last festival. And of course the last one was Bealtaine. This, by the way, is spirea. Okay, these are the flowers on the spirea, and I try to let them go to seed like this, because then little birds have even more food during the leaner months of the winter. So we've got apples coming out, and here's an apple being eaten by birds. When the birds do start to eat a particular apple, I just leave it there, because they will invariably keep coming back to the same one. So in a way it stops them from purloining other apples. Of course, there's enough here at Bealtaine to share many times over. So I've just brought one of the bins over that I'd cleaned out, and let's have a look at the spearmint here. It's beginning to crackle a little bit, so yep, there's some good drying going on there. So I took all the beautiful lemon verbena that I dried, and I packed that tightly, stalks and all, into a jar. So I'm going to have lemon verbena tea over much of the course of the winter. And there's the sloe berries beginning to change. Oh, that one's died there. It'll be a little seed. So it's looking to be a good harvest. A good harvest for all. Lots of seeds, lots of berries. I've saved some of the black currants, not all of them. In fact, I leave most of them for the birds. I only need a small amount. I take enough just to sort of fill a spot in the freezer, and then that allows me to have black currants throughout the winter months. I no longer make jam with them. I try to keep away from sugary things. There's a nice plum on there. Got a few plums on this tree. There's another one up there. But what I wanted to talk to you about is something I've been thinking about very deeply. Because of course, although I don't talk a huge amount about climate change and weather patterns and how things are going on and around Mother Earth, I'm very aware, sometimes too aware, of all that's happening. And like I always do, I try to bring all this down to a level of understanding. Now there's a beautiful butterfly. Let me see if I can get her into focus. Can't see her through this camera. Where is she? Where's she gone there? No, I can't even see through this camera lens. I'm probably aiming too high. Let me see if I can. It's just on that leaf somewhere. Oh. No, I'm looking through the lens and I'm not seeing. But anyway, you can probably see her. Can you see her there? Is that her there? Oh, look, I'm just going to I'm just going to forget about that. She's on the leaf there anyway. You can probably see her now on the bigger screen. Yeah, to bring this gigantic, gargantuan problem down to a very simple statement. The simple statement is simply this. If we are to have a future, we have to go back to the past. And in simple terms, what that means is that we are fast running out of earth in which to grow crops. We are running out of oil. We are running out of the various minerals and materials needed to create wind turbines and solar panels. We are running out of space on which to build new motorways. So here we are, we're kind of ploughing and forging ahead into this very shadowy future because we can't really see it. We have an image in our heads of the future being much like today, except better. But it's not working out like that. In order to have a future, we have got to go back to the past. And I think the key word again is this one which I live by, which is frugal and frugality. And within frugality there is a massive liberation. So even just in the way that I shoot the videos, that I'm not taking all this back to a computer and editing and, you know, making sure everything is perfect. Our strive for perfection has brought us to a point of environmental collapse. You know, we want things bigger and better and more perfect all the time. And the only perfection that actually exists is within nature herself, is within Mother Earth. Like, look at this. I haven't contrived to have this bed like it is now. It's just decided to be this perfect. And there's the boy listening to me. He's always sitting beside me. If I stand still, he'll sit down beside me and he'll listen. I've collected up little bits of wood from further down the garden, and that's to light the kelly kettle with, to boil some water. That is going back to the past. Not buying another washing machine is going back to the past. Not using weed killers on the land here is going back to the past. Not being ashamed of having second-hand clothes and sometimes even second-hand shoes is going back to the past. Because all that this extraction and extractive mentality have brought us to is this very self-destructive ego and the eternal quest for more. So here at Lughnasadh, there's this opportunity to once again renew one's outlook. I got my sewing machine out about a week ago, and I've been taking various clothes and bits and bobs from my wardrobe and, working with them to make new bits and bobs, especially scarves. I've really got into scarves at the moment, and so I'm looking through charity shops, and I'm not looking at the shape or the design or even the size of the clothes. I'm looking at the material in the clothes, because of course material is very expensive to buy. I bought 1 metre of material recently and it cost me €11. And a lot of that cotton, of course, can be GMO cotton, which I'm not comfortable with. I'm just not comfortable with stuff like that. There's something not right about it, So it's just ideal to go looking around charity shops. And again, not looking at particular, clothes, but looking at material. Some beautiful scents in the air. Look how dry the earth is here now. And this is in amongst the trees. This is the third drought this year. Still haven't had enough rain to make any improvement on the spring well. So there's no water in the cottage. But again, that's okay. That's fine. That's going back to the past. That's saying, I can make do. I can get through this. This is what people always did. People made do. We've come into this, first bit of the 21st century or whatever it is, the past, say, 20 or 30 years, say 30 years. And the arrogance that pervades society. People are actually being born with expectations. So I like the sort of philosophy that going back to the past in order to have a future gets us thinking about. Because we can take the very best from the past and we can keep that. And we can build on other aspects of it. Like I have a Stanley stove in there. It was a second-hand Stanley stove. It heats my water, it does my cooking, it does my baking, it heats the radiators. Okay, it does all that on, potentially wood that I grow here. And eventually there'll be a lot of wood here, more than what I will need. And I'm not talking about cutting down trees. I'm talking about pollarding and coppicing, as people used to do. there was something I wanted to tell you there about trees. And I'll just tell you very briefly. It was something that I read in a little local history book. But you know, Slieve and Erin is known as the Iron Mountain. So we used to extract iron, pig iron I think it was called, or iron ore, and it would be smelted here up around, you know, the Erigna Mountains. And up until, I think it was about 1770, all the iron smelting furnaces were fired by wood. And then it said in this little booklet that the wood ran out. And it wasn't until they discovered coal that they were able to start smelting again. And I thought to myself, how stupid, how utterly stupid that people would keep cutting down trees to use in an industry without thinking about planting more. I was just, and I thought, okay, so this actually on a worldwide scale is a problem. You know, because it continues to be a problem. We all know about the importance of trees and cutting them down to use them callously, you know, to kind of maintain other forms of extractive, you know, industries around the globe is ridiculous and stupid, and we are destroying our own habitat and our own air and everything. So we know all about that. And I say this, on the one hand, with a heavy heart, and on the other hand, with a heart full of joy, because what's happened this week? Ethiopia, the Ethiopian government gave everyone a day off work to plant trees, and they planted 350 million trees, because the tree cover in Ethiopia had fallen to a record low of 4%. And it's little wonder that where you have very few trees, you have impoverishment. Impoverishment begins, of course, with Mother Earth. You have the impoverishment, the forced impoverishment of Mother Earth, and then, of course, the impoverishment of the life upon Mother Earth. And we are not exempt. So on this beautiful Lughnasadh Eve, I've got a few things to do. I'm driving my grandson he has to go somewhere, so I'm taking him. I've offered to take him. And then, of course, I'll be back home and I'll be working here and then making a little bonfire for later on, and I hope to make a little video later on. And if I don't get the chance to do a video later on, at least I will be taking some photographs and posting them up, and maybe even writing a little blog later on. So once again, from a very amateurish, non-contrived, here it is, no script and no editing video from Bealtaine Cottage in the west of Ireland. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone, and just blessings to you all. And I just feel as though we've all arrived at this wonderful point where once again there's a little bit of enlightenment. I'm feeling that there is enlightenment by just thinking about looking to the past in order to be able to see our future, to be able to place ourselves in the future. I'm beginning to imagine that in our heads, what that will look like. Blessings to you all.